Hello and welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture, what we are going to do is that we are going to try inserting some more values into our database. So in the previous lecture, we have already inserted one or values for one book. Now let's go ahead and learn how to enter values for another book. So let's create a new object B for books. So you could type in B equal book, hit enter. It is going to create the object for you. And now you could type in B dot name as the book name, and let's say the book name is going to be let's say success, hit enter. Then you could type in the author name as B dot name, and let's say the author name is XYZ, and let's say the price of the book is $30. So you could type in B dot price equals, let's assume 30, and let's type in the type as fiction. So you type in B dot type equals, and you could type in double quotes fiction. And finally, to save these changes, you simply need to type in b.save, give a parentheses, hit enter, and that is going to save the changes for you. Now what happens is that as you go ahead and keep on adding books to the database, each and every book is actually stored at a particular location or a unique location, and that unique location is defined by an ID. So each and every object or each and every book is stored at one particular ID. So if you type in a.id, it will give you the ID as 1. If you type in b.id, it will give you an ID as 2. So this is mainly for making a distinction between multiple books, so that if we have two similar books, then distinction could actually be made depending upon the ID. So ID is one thing which uniquely defines your book or any item which you save into a particular table. And one more thing which I would like to point out here is that you could also call this ID as a primary key. So if you type a.pk, hit enter, as you could see, you will get the pk as 1. So pk is essentially a primary key. So if you have already learned about databases, then you must know what a primary key is. And if you type in b.pk, you will get the answer as 2. So pk or id is one and the same thing, which is actually used to uniquely define each and every row into a database. Now the next thing which I would like to point out is that if you want to get all the books which are stored in the database, you could type in book dot objects, because essentially everything is object dot all. That is basically going to return you all the objects. But if you hit enter, you will notice that we don't actually get the actual objects, but instead we get this thing which says book object and book objects. So to basically get the names of books entered into the database, what you need to do is that you need to go to the models.py file, and here you need to define a function which is called as an str. So you need to type in def _str, and this thing should actually go ahead and return us the values for the name. So here you could type in self dot, and let's assume that we want the name of the book and name of the author. So you could type in self dot name, and let's add a separator so as to separate the author name and the book, and then you could type in return self dot author. So that is essentially going to return the name of the book and the author. So you simply need to save this thing, and to notice a change, what you need to do is that you actually need to open up this shell, and you actually need to exit out of it. So you need to type in exit, give a parentheses, and again you need to start up the shell. And after starting the shell, you again need to import the book. So you need to type in from books.models import, and then type in the book, which is the model, hit enter. And after this, you could go ahead, and now if you type in like book.objects.all, and if you hit enter this time, as you could see, you will get the book life whose author is ABC. And I guess I made some mistake here, so let me actually go ahead and check it. This should be XYZ. So XYZ is actually the author, and I don't know why it's not displaying success. There must be actually an error while I make these changes. Okay, so I guess I made a mistake while typing in this query. This thing should be actually the author, not the name. So I actually changed the name to XYZ, and that should be success. So that's why we actually get the book but not the name, and I'm extremely sorry for that. So if you have typed in these values correctly, then you might get the values of book and author appropriately, so sorry for that. So as you could see, when you included this thing, it actually gave you the query set as the book name and the author name. And what you could do is that instead of specifying all of the things, you could type in books.objects. You could type in the filter function to filter out the results, and you could specify some filter as, let's say you want the result with ID equals 1. So if you type this thing, as you could see, you will only get the first book, which is The Life, which is authored by ABC. So that is how you could basically go ahead and filter out the results from the database by using the filter function. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we will be learning a much more easier way to go ahead and add values into our database so that these types of mistakes do not happen. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.